In this lesson, you will learn about multiplying rational numbers. Okay, so there are a couple of rules for multiplying. So in order to get a positive number, two negative numbers, a negative times a negative will be a positive, okay? Notice here that there are two numbers, which is an even amount, okay? So if I have another even amount, like four numbers, so if I have -7 times -4 times -2 times -1, here I have four negative numbers, okay, which will also result in a positive because I have groups of two, okay? So these two will become positive and these two will become positive, okay? For negative numbers, you need to have one negative and one positive will make a negative answer, okay? Or an odd number. So for example, 1 is an odd number. Here I have one negative number. Another example could be -7 times -4 times -1. Okay, here I have three odd numbers. These two will make my answer positive, but then I'm multiplying by another one, so then my answer becomes negative. Let's do a few examples. Okay, so here I want to multiply 3x by -8y. Okay, so 3 times -8 is -24, and then I have xy. Okay, for the second one, I want to write both numbers as a fraction. Okay, so here when I started out with -20, I just put -20 over 1 so I could easily multiply. So here I have a negative times a positive, so my answer will be negative. 20 times 4 is 80, and then over 5. Okay, here I can simplify, and I'm going to get -16. Okay, try these with me. So here I have a negative times a negative, so I know my answer will be positive. 2 times 5 is 10, and 5 times 8 is 40. Okay, I can cross off the zeros, and my answer is 1/4. Okay, so let's look at the you do part and we'll look at the rules. So let's see how many negatives I have in the first one. So I have two negatives, okay, so my answer here is going to be positive because I only have two negatives which cancel each other out. So -3 times 4 is -12, and then -12 times -2 is 24. Okay, so moving down to the second one. First what I'm going to do, and you could do this more than one way, is I'm going to multiply my fractions through. Okay, they're both negatives. This is going to become positive. So positive 2 over 10. Okay. So now from here I'm going to multiply through my whole numbers. So I have -6 times 5, which is -30. And then -30 times -2 will give me positive 60. So now I have 2/10 times 60. And I'm going to put it as 60 over 1. 60 times 2 is 120 over 10. Okay, and if I cancel out the zeros, I'm left with 12 over 1, which is 12. So let's check to see in number 2 how many negatives there were. There were 1, 2, 3, 4. So there were a positive number of negatives, which means, there were an even number of negatives because there are 4 of them, so my answer is positive.